The quantum-stabilized transport pod descended through Proxima Station's atmospheric shield, its hull shimmering with the iridescent glow of FTL residue. Inside, Elsa pressed her palm against the transparent aluminum viewport, watching as the galaxy's most prestigious institution materialized before her eyes. The Celestial Academy sprawled across 3 interconnected orbital platforms, each one larger than Earth's moon, connected by bridges of hardened light that pulsed with data streams. Visible to the naked eye, she adjusted the neural interface behind her ear, feeling the familiar tingle as it synchronized with the station's network. The device was standard issue for all Academy students, a slim piece of biotechnology that allowed direct communion with the institution's vast information matrix. What wasn't standard was the secondary chip embedded deeper in her cerebral cortex, hidden beneath layers of encryption that even the Academy's most advanced scanners couldn't penetrate. First time at the Academy? The transport's AI manifested as a holographic attendant, its form flickering between various species representations, a diplomatic courtesy in a galaxy where thousands of sentient races coexisted. Yes, Elsa replied, keeping her voice neutral. The lie came easily. She had been here before, but not as a student. Not as anyone the galaxy would recognize. The pod docked with a pneumatic hiss, and Elsa stepped onto Platform Alpha's main concourse. The sensory overload was immediate. Students from across known space moved in coordinated chaos, Vraxians with their crystalline exoskeletons refracting light into rainbow patterns, Keltorians whose gaseous forms were contained in elegant environmental suits, and humans like herself, though she suspected few of them carried the secrets she did. Attention. Incoming first-year students, boomed a voice that seemed to emanate from everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. Report to Orientation Hall Omega 7 for neural mapping and classification testing. Elsa followed the crowd, her enhanced vision cataloging everything security protocols, defensive systems, potential exit routes, old habits from a life she was supposed to have left behind. The Orientation Hall was a cathedral of technology, its walls lined with quantum processors that hummed with barely contained power. At the center stood a calibration sphere, a perfect orb of dark matter suspended in a gravitational field, used to assess each student's potential across 17 different disciplines. Next, called the proctor, a severe-looking Arcturian whose tentacles moved with bureaucratic efficiency. Elsa approached the sphere, extending her hand toward its surface. The moment her fingers brushed the event horizon, she felt the familiar pull of the sphere reaching into her mind, measuring, weighing, analyzing. She had been trained for this, knew how to present just enough truth to seem exceptional while hiding the depths of what she truly was. The readings appeared on holographic displays surrounding the sphere, and Elsa watched the proctor's multiple eyes widen in surprise. Quantum mechanics aptitude, 97th percentile. Xenobiology, 94th percentile. Combat simulations, 99th percentile. Tactical analysis, 98th. The proctor trailed off, tentacles twitching with agitation. These scores are highly unusual for a human from a frontier colony world. Elsa smiled, the expression carefully calculated to convey both humility and confidence. I've always been a quick learner. Clearly. The proctor made several notations on its datapad. You'll be assigned to Advanced Track 7, report to Dormitory Section Alpha 4. Room 2847. Your roommate assignments will be waiting. As Elsa navigated the Academy's labyrinthine corridors, she became aware of someone following her. Not, obviously, the presence was subtle, professional. She turned a corner into a less traveled maintenance passage and waited. You can stop hiding now, she said without looking back. A figure emerged from the shadows, and Elsa found herself face to face with a human male approximately her age. He had the lean build of someone who spent time in variable gravity environments, and his eyes held an intelligence that immediately put her on alert. Harry Mitchell, he introduced himself, extending a hand. Second-year student, intelligence track. I make it my business to know when someone interesting arrives at the Academy. Elsa didn't take the offered hand. And what makes me interesting? Those scores, for one thing. Harry leaned against the wall, his casual posture betrayed by the tension in his shoulders. No one scores in the 99th percentile in combat simulations without military training. Certainly not someone claiming to be from an agricultural colony in the Outer Rim. Maybe I'm just naturally talented. Maybe, Harry conceded. Or maybe you're not who you claim to be. See, I have a hobby. I like puzzles. And you, Elsa, that is your real name, isn't it? You're the most interesting puzzle I've encountered in a long time. Before Elsa could respond, an alarm shrieked through the station. The corridor's lighting shifted to crimson, and emergency bulkheads began sliding into place. Security breach in Sector 9, announced the station AI. All students report to designated safe zones immediately. This is not a drill. Harry's demeanor changed instantly, the playful curiosity replaced by cold professionalism. That's the research wing. Someone's after the Helix Drive prototype. Elsa's blood ran cold. The Helix Drive, a theoretical propulsion system that could fold space-time itself, allowing instantaneous travel across galactic distances. If it fell into the wrong hands, the balance of power in the galaxy would shatter. She started running towards Sector 9. What are you doing? Harry called after her. We're supposed to evacuate. Then evacuate, Elsa shouted back without slowing. I'm going to stop them. She heard his footsteps pounding behind her. You're insane. Security will handle it. Security won't get there in time. They'd burst through a service entrance into Sector 9, just as three figures in adaptive camouflage suits were forcing their way into the Helix Drive laboratory. The intruders moved with military precision, their weapons illegal plasma rifles, banned by 17 treaties trained on the handful of researchers still in the lab. Elsa didn't hesitate. She pulled a small device from her jacket, a gravity disruptor. She'd smuggled past the Academy's scanners and activated it. The localized field inverted gravity within a 3-meter radius of the intruders, slamming them against the ceiling with bone-crushing force. Harry stared at her. What the hell kind of agricultural colony teaches you to carry military-grade contraband? The kind that doesn't exist, Elsa admitted, moving quickly to secure the disoriented intruders. Help me restrain them before they recover. Together, they managed to bind the attackers using emergency restraint fields from the lab's safety systems. As Academy security forces finally arrived, flooding the corridor with armed personnel, Elsa found herself facing a new problem, explaining how a first-year student had intervened in a high-level security incident. The lead security officer, a grizzled Rigelian veteran named Commander Thorax, surveyed the scene with 4 independent eyes. Someone want to tell me what happened here? Before Elsa could formulate a response, Harry stepped forward. We were conducting an unauthorized tour of the research facilities, completely my fault. Commander, when we stumbled upon the intrusion, my colleague here reacted on instinct. Thorax's mandibles clicked skeptically. On instinct. With a Class 4 gravity disruptor that she just happened to have. Sir, one of the security technicians interrupted, we've identified the intruders. They're Shadow Collective operatives. This was a professional hit. The Shadow Collective. Elsa felt the familiar weight of her past settling back onto her shoulders. Of course it was them. They were the only organization with the resources and audacity to attempt a raid on the Academy itself. Thorax turned his attention back to Elsa. I think you and I need to have a conversation, young lady. In private. An hour later, Elsa sat in a secure interrogation room deep within the station's military section. The walls were lined with dampening fields that blocked all external communications and prevented the use of enhancement technologies. She was as isolated as it was possible to be on a station housing 50,000 souls. The door dissolved into pixels, and Thorax entered, followed by a human woman in the uniform of the Sol Federation Intelligence Service. The woman was in her 50s, with silver-streaked hair and eyes that had seen too much classified horror. Hello, Elsa, the woman said, taking a seat across from her. Or should I call you Agent 17? The code name hit Elsa like a physical blow. She had burned that identity, erased every trace of her service. Or so she'd thought. I don't know what you're talking about, she said carefully. The woman smiled without humor. Don't insult my intelligence. I'm Director Chun, SFIS Operations Division. I know exactly who you are, humanity's youngest deep cover operative, inserted into the hegemony's inner circle at age 15. You provided intelligence that prevented 2 wars and exposed the consortium's slave trade network. You were declared Kiara 6 months ago after the Vega Station incident, and yet here I am? Elsa said flatly. Indeed. The question is why? Why fake your death? Why resurface at the Academy? Elsa met Chen's gaze steadily. Because I'm tired of being a weapon. I'm 19 years old, and I've killed more sentient beings than most soldiers see in a lifetime. I wanted a chance to be a student, to learn something other than how to infiltrate and destroy. Noble sentiment, Thorax interjected. But your past has a way of following you. The Shadow Collective didn't attack tonight by coincidence. They knew something valuable was here. How did they get that information? I don't know, Elsa admitted. I've had no contact with any intelligence services since Vega Station. My cover was perfect. Not perfect enough, Chun said grimly. Someone knows you're here. Someone wants you specifically. The attack on the Helix Drive might have been secondary, a target of opportunity, while their real objective was something else. Or someone else. Harry's voice cut through the room. Elsa turned to see him standing in the doorway, apparently having talked his way past station security. You really need to work on your concept of secure interrogation, she told Thorax. The commander's mandibles clacked in irritation. Mr. Mitchell, this is a restricted— I know who she is, Harry interrupted. Or at least I know enough. And I think I know why the Shadow Collective is here. He held up a data chip. I've been monitoring dark web chatter for months. There's been talk of a ghost protocol, a list of deep cover operatives across multiple intelligence services. The collective has been hunting these agents, eliminating them one by one. Chun's expression darkened. That's classified information, Mr. Mitchell. So arrest me, Harry said with a shrug. But first listen. 3 operatives on the Ghost Protocol list have been killed in the last month. All made to look like accidents. All at locations the agents thought were secure. He looked at Elsa. You're number 4 on the list. The implications crashed over Elsa like a tidal wave. If the Shadow Collective knew she was here, if they were systematically eliminating trained intelligence operatives, then the Academy wasn't a sanctuary, it was a trap? We need to evacuate her, Thorax said immediately. No, Elsa and Chun said simultaneously. The director leaned forward. If we evacuate her, they'll just follow. And they'll keep coming. The only way to end this is to turn the trap around, use Elsa as bait, to draw out whoever's coordinating these assassinations. Absolutely not, Thorax objected. This is an educational facility, not a battlefield. It became a battlefield the moment they breached our security, Chun countered. The question is whether we fight on their terms or ours. Elsa stood, her decision made. I'll do it. But on one condition, no one else gets hurt. You evacuate all non-essential personnel from the sectors we're using as the operational zone. This is my fight. Our fight, Harry corrected. You're not doing this alone. She turned to him, seeing the determination in his eyes. You don't have to. I know I don't have to. But I'm going to anyway. You're not the only one with secrets, Elsa. I didn't end up in the intelligence track by accident. My parents were SFIS analysts, both killed during the Frontier Wars. I know what it means to hunt shadows. And I'm pretty good at it. Over the next 48 hours, they planned. Chun brought in a small team of specialists, all volunteers who understood the risks. Thorax grudgingly provided access to the Academy's security systems and defensive grid. And Elsa found herself working alongside Harry, their initial antagonism transforming into something approaching trust. Why did you really come to the Academy? Harry asked during a brief respite in the planning. They were alone in a tactical briefing room, surrounded by holographic displays showing potential attack vectors. Elsa was quiet for a long moment. Because I wanted to believe I could be more than what they made me. I was recruited at 15, Harry, 15. I never got to be a kid. Never got to wonder about the universe in a way that wasn't tactical. The academy represented ... possibility, the chance to study xenobiology not to understand enemy species but just to understand them. To learn quantum mechanics not for stealth technology but for the sake of knowledge itself. And now? Now I realize you can't outrun what you are. But maybe... She met his eyes. Maybe you can choose what you become. The attack came on the third night. The Shadow Collective sent not a strike team but an army 36 heavily armed operatives supported by combat drones and a hacked Academy security AI. They breached the outer hull of Platform Alpha, cutting through reinforced titanium like tissue paper, but Elsa was ready. She had spent 2 days turning Sector 12 into a killing ground, using every trick she'd learned in 4 years of covert operations. Gravity traps that would activate when someone crossed invisible thresholds. Atmospheric processors modified to release targeted neural paralyzers. Lighting systems that could strobe at frequencies that disrupted most species' equilibrium. "They're coming," Harry announced from his position in the command center. 3 entry points, just like we predicted. "Good," Elsa said, her voice cold with professional detachment. "Let's give them what they came for." She activated the first trap as the lead operatives entered the sector. 6 invaders suddenly found themselves experiencing reverse gravity, weapons clattering as they scrambled to orient themselves in 3-dimensional space without an obvious up or down. The second wave managed to bypass the gravity fields but walked straight into the neural paralyzers. They collapsed, conscious but unable to move, but the third wave was smarter. They sent the drones first, small machines that mapped the tactical environment and transmitted data back to their handlers. Elsa watched them fan out through the corridor, their sensors probing for threats. "Harry, now!" Harry unleashed a pulse of electromagnetic energy that fried every drone within a 100-meter radius. In the sudden darkness, the station's lighting had been disabled as part of their plan. Elsa moved with practiced efficiency. She had memorized every centimeter of this sector, could navigate it blind if necessary. The enemy operatives, relying on technological advantages, were suddenly vulnerable. She took down 4 before they even realized she was among them. 2 more fell to Harry's surprisingly competent hand-to-hand combat skills. But there were too many, and they kept coming. "Elsa, we've got a problem," Harry's voice crackled through her neural interface. "They're not just attacking Sector 12. They've breached the Helix Drive laboratory again." This was a diversion. Of course it was. Elsa cursed at her own tactical short-sightedness. She'd been so focused on protecting herself that she hadn't considered they might have a dual objective. "Chun, status on the laboratory?" she demanded. "Under siege," the director's voice came back, tight with stress. "We have security forces responding, but they're outnumbered. Whoever planned this knew exactly where to hit us." Elsa made a split-second decision. "Harry, fall back to the command center and seal it. I'm going to the laboratory." "Alone? That's suicide." "No," Elsa said, already running. "That's what I was trained for." She moved through the station like a ghost, using maintenance shafts and service corridors that didn't appear on standard maps. The journey to the research wing took 3 minutes and eternity in combat time, but when she emerged from a ventilation shaft directly above the laboratory, she had a perfect vantage point. 12 operatives had surrounded the laboratory, their weapons trained on the entrance. Inside, she could see researchers huddled behind overturned tables while security forces tried to mount a defense. It was a stalemate, but one that wouldn't last. Then Elsa saw who was leading the attack, and her blood turned to ice. Commander Vex. She'd worked with him during the consortium operation. Trusted him with intelligence that had saved thousands of lives. He'd been a mentor, one of the few operatives in the intelligence community who had treated her like a person rather than an asset. He'd also been declared Kier 6 months ago, the same time as her. Understanding crashed over her. The Ghost Protocol wasn't just a hit list, it was a recruitment tool. The Shadow Collective wasn't killing operatives. They were turning them, offering a new life away from the governments that had used them as disposable tools, and now Vex had come to offer her the same choice. She dropped from the ventilation shaft, landing between the operatives and the laboratory entrance. Every weapon immediately swiveled toward her. 17, Vex said, his voice modulated by a combat helmet. I was hoping you'd figure it out. The Ghost Protocol, Elsa said, keeping her hands visible but ready to move at the slightest provocation. You're not killing them. You're recruiting them. Liberating them, Vex corrected. We were weapons, 17. Tools to be used and discarded. The Shadow Collective offers something different, Automy. Choice. The chance to use our skills for ourselves rather than masters who see us as expendable. By stealing military technology? By threatening civilian researchers? By taking control of our own destinies. The Helix Drive represents power, 17. Whoever controls it controls movement across the galaxy. Why should that power belong to governments that have already proven they'll abuse it? He took a step forward. Come with us. You've already faked your death once. This time actually live. For a moment, just a moment, Elsa was tempted. Everything Vex said was true. She had been used, shaped into a weapon, sent into situations that should have killed her 100 times over. The governments of the galaxy cared nothing for operatives like her beyond their utility.